In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blunt Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism, speak out against injustice, and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blunt Politics. And we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet. And we ain't gonna be scared. And we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blunt Politics. And it ain't about left or right. It ain't about Dem or Republican. It's about right and wrong. It's about us versus them. This is Blunt Politics.
All right, what do you say, kiddos? What's happening? What's new? How's everybody doing? Welcome to the show. It is Wednesday, 3 June 2026. And as always, I appreciate you for coming back and joining me. Shout out to this space, everybody over there. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to Matt. And then obviously thank you and a big shout out to the Blunt Politics community here. You guys are fantastic, continue to be fantastic, and I really do appreciate it. A few things to discuss today. Obviously, a lot going on. Obviously, U.S. and Iran have exchanged missiles as the situation pretty much collapses. We'll be talking about Todd Blanche and his claims that the $1.8 billion slush fund is now canceled. But not Trump's tax immunity. Not Trump's tax immunity. The slush fund apparently canceled. Won't put it in writing, of course, but it's supposedly canceled, but not the tax immunity for Donald Trump, his family, his cohorts, and of course their businesses as well. We'll be looking at the horrible-looking Trump. I know he hasn't been seen in about a week after the visit to the to the doctors that he seems to make once every few days at this point. But apparently he sat down for an interview when it was taped. I'm not really sure with what's her name, Miranda Devine. So we'll be taking a look at a couple ridiculous clips of that as well. Not looking great. Everybody pointing out now his hands look swollen, not just bruised, but they look pretty swollen. So again, a new development as far as health concerns in that one. Obviously, Ukraine strikes St. Petersburg, and the orcs are furious. They are not happy to see that. And then we have a battle plans exposed, talking about Ukraine's jet-powered drone. Hopefully, we can fit it all into the shortened show today. Only an hour show tonight. We got 2 hours. Speaking about tonight, we're going to be interviewing Tom Hendrickson, who is running for a state rep position here in Western Massachusetts. So again, trying to use our platform to to build up everybody, whether they're in our communities, outside our communities, if they have the right policies. We're going to try to do the right thing. Tonight we'll probably have to speak about Ivanka's Island, Albania, the whole ridiculousness surrounding that. Scott Pelley being let go. Barry Weiss at CBS trying to do her best to gut 60 Minutes even further. And yeah, we got a lot to cover, a lot to talk about. Hopefully, like I said, we can cram that into the show. What do you say we bring in the chat? Say hi to you guys for a couple seconds. You guys deserve some screen time. What's going on, guys? What's up, Tiff? Salute to you. Thank you for everything that you do down there. What's up, Moms? How are you? What's up, Kristen? What's going on, Yakov? Appreciate you, brother. You guys getting ready for that camping trip, my man? You got your sleeping bag and and your pillows all ready to go? Let's go. Appreciate it. What's up, Flipper? How are you? V Sawyer, what's going on? What's up, Carol? Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way in. What's up, Nola? What's up, Namaste? Victor, what's happening, brother? Slava Ukraine. Slava Ukraine. How's it going? What's up, Graphene? Yeah, like I said, hit that like button on the way in. Let me see if I can put this on the screen real quick, because as we typically do, I want to start off today by saying a big thank you again for our recent developments on the ongoing campaign with, again, Help 99 and the 69th Sniffing Brigade. Let me throw this on the screen real quick. Bam, there we go. So again, we've made progress. Progress has been made. And let me just see. I'll do a quick refresh just in case. You never know. You never know. So right now we're at least 20% of our goal, which is a good thing to see. We've now raised over 4,265 euro, the equivalent to somewhere, I want to say, 4,700-ish, maybe something like that. Let me know in the chat. But 38 donations so far in just a few days, guys. So again, a big thank you. I really do appreciate the support. from people, whether or not you're donating yourself or if you're just sharing this out to friends and family or putting it on social media. Obviously, with the ongoing attacks we've been talking about inside Ukraine, obviously the frontline activities and everything encapsulated in this war, the necessity to continue funding the frontline soldiers and to give them the ability to be mobile on the front lines without having to expose themselves to drones. Like we always say, the vehicles, if they take the brunt of the damage, if they take the brunt of the action, that's a good thing, which is why we need to consistently resupply them, because that's what we want. We want the vehicles to take the damage. This time, obviously, going to the 3rd Operational Battalion, which is an artillery platoon. Like I said, I really do appreciate you guys for getting in this far and even getting us to this point as a channel where we can affiliate with some of these organizations and they find it kind of worthy. They find it, worth their time to work with us as well. So again, real big shout out to you guys. Thank you guys so much. 20% of the way there in just a few days, I think, is fantastic. So like I said, 4,265 euros. Let's see if there's anybody on the old board there. Rocks, there you are. I see you, Rocks. Let's go. Slava Ukraine, Heroyam Slava. Let's go, Rocks. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your donation. Alicia, thank you so much for your contribution. Slava Ukraini, true American standby allies. F you, Piggy Trump, and your lover boy Putin. Let's go. Love it. Love it. And then I put one in on behalf of our, our dear friend in the chat, Nancy. So thank you so much, Nancy, for your contribution as well. I think it was just a little bit difficult to navigate as far as that was concerned, but more than happy to help. And again, thank you to everybody else, Tom and your family, and Nicole and Christina, Yakov, obviously, for everything that you've done. It's really good to see Beres Yakun, Mark, everybody else. Like I said, not everybody gets put on the wall. Not everybody wants that, wants that name recognition out there. So anybody that hasn't been mentioned, I do appreciate you as well. And everybody in the backgrounds, like I said, sharing that out there. But let's see if we can go over. I just want to dive into this before we start into the craziness of what's been going on as far as the missile exchanges between Iran, obviously inside of different Gulf nations, some pretty big damage, some pretty significant damage seen in some places. So we'll be going over that in just a second. But I did want to just dive into some of the California. Let me throw this one on here. The California results from yesterday and something what's going on here. Let me see. I'll refresh it just so we can get the most up-to-date and accurate information. I'm going to go up. Let me see. Oh, nope, don't want that. I want this one. So right now for the California governor's race, updated 11 minutes ago, we got, shut up, I don't want this. No, get out of here. Steve Hilton, which is at 28%. He's got 1.386 million votes. Javier Becerra is in second here with 25% of the vote with 1.267 million votes. And then you got Tom Steyer in third with 20% of that. So I'm not 100% sure how much is still left, how much is to go, when they expect to call this. But this now says updated 2 minutes ago. So 28%, 25% here, which is, again, what the fuck is going on here? Just when you think you're making progress, just when you think, people are pissed off enough in this country, and they're starting to smarten up, you got fucking idiotic decisions like this, and 1.386 million fucking morons in California who voted for Steve Hilton, right? Let's take a look at the LA mayor's race. This was the LA mayor's race, and I'll do a quick refresh on this, like I said, just in case anything has changed. I believe this is Karen Bass is advancing to the general election with 172,720 votes, or 34.8% of the voting. I do believe that if they don't get a majority, there is a runoff. Let me read here. Maybe it'll tell me. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass faces two serious challenges as she battles for her second term amid major criticism of retirement office. Former reality star Spencer Pratt, yada, 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 Republican who buried the 2025 Palisade fire, is coming at Bass from the right, yada, yada, yada. It says if a candidate, right here, if a candidate gets a majority of the vote, they will win the election in one go. If not, the top two candidates from the all-party primary advance to the general election. So from what I'm getting from that, from what I gather from that, does that mean that Spencer gets another crack at this? Let me know if you're a California resident, how, in fact, that goes. Or if you just know more about that. But from what I'm getting there, if you don't get the majority, it seems like that the second place runner-up there, the runner-up gets another crack at it as far as as it says here, the all-party primary advance to the general election. So Spencer, again, another 151,149 absolute fucking dickbag morons in California who voted for Spencer Pratt. Nithya Raman coming in with 22.3% of the vote, or 110,000. It says 63.1 expected votes, estimated remaining 290,000. Did it say on this other one how many votes were remaining to count? Let's see, I don't think it says anything about how many is still to go. It just goes into the different elections that we had. Let's see, expected vote reporting. Expected vote reporting was 100%. You can see it underneath there. So this says expected vote reporting 100%. And that's as far as the governor's race updated 2 minutes ago. So, again, let me know in old California what the hell is going on there, guys. What is happening? What'd you say? Did Felon mess with the votes? Jackie Hobson says yes. What is wrong with people, says Billy the Kid. I agree. Yeah, like I said, just when you think you're making some progress, and not that we haven't made some progress. Obviously, you can't take back the special elections and the success that the Democrats have seen in those, obviously. But you'd like to see that continue and be a through line in all of these elections, both statewide, federal elections, governors, mayors races. Like, you would love to think that people are waking up, but unfortunately, I think we're in this position right now where, like, it's the position and the situation is bad enough to recognize. It's bad enough for people to recognize, and almost at a point where it's going to be very difficult to recover from. But it's also not bad enough for people to act, right? It's bad enough for people to respond. It's bad enough for people to maybe call it out in some instances. But unfortunately, and it pains me to say it, I think we're going to have to see a lot more people, a lot more destitute, in order to see the fiery reaction that a lot of us are hoping for, as far as demanding change and accountability from the people, whether the billionaire class or the corrupt politicians that are now making it almost impossible for you to live your daily life, right? So that's kind of the situation that I think we're in. We're kind of in that halfway house of, it's definitely bad. It's definitely it's bad enough where we're starting to get to a point where it's going to be tough to get back to normalcy, whatever normalcy was, but it's also hasn't crossed that line for people. Like, there's still, everybody's living daily life, right? You're still doing things, and people are still doing things and taking kids places and going on vacation, right? So it's like, it's that weird, like, alternate universe of, holy shit, everybody thinks the world's collapsing, while at the same time everybody going about their normal day life, right? You know what I mean? It's just costing you 3, 4, 5, 5 times more than it was several months ago. You know what I mean? So I think it's just, it's an unfortunate situation where, like I said, I'll repeat, I think a lot more people have to be a lot more destitute, and we're just not there yet, even as far down the rabbit hole as we are. And it pains me to say it, like I said, but let me know what you guys think in the chat. But all right, let's go on here and talk about some of the hypocrisy here going on with this non-existent, fake, never was a ceasefire that everybody loves to talk about in the Trump administration and beyond. This is coming from U.S. CENTCOM here, U.S. Central Command, from last night. So this is 20 hours ago. It says the U.S. disabled an unloaded oil tanker that was attempting to sail toward an Iranian port in the Arabian Gulf. June 2nd, U.S. CENTCOM enforced the blockade measures, yada, yada, yada. About 3 hours after that, it says U.S. forces, and I'll go into this. Let me click this real quick. It says U.S. forces successfully defeated multiple Iranian ballistic missiles and drones and conducted self-defense strikes on Qasem Island in response to attempted attacks by Iran across the Middle East on June 2. Iran launched several ballistic missiles towards regional neighbors. However, all failed to hit their intended targets. And it's really fucking painful how they word this so specifically. So you see what they said there? They all failed to hit their intended targets. They didn't fail to hit targets, right? They did damage, they hurt people, they killed people, right? It didn't stop that. But as far as the intended targets that they were likely to be going after, as far as CENTCOM is concerned, they didn't get to hit those. But it's not like they didn't cause any damage. So they try to word this. I'm sure a bunch of lawyers were involved in talking about this as well. It says 2 Iranian missiles fired at Kuwait fell short or broke apart en route, and 3 missiles launched at Bahrain were immediately intercepted by U.S. and Bahrain air defense forces. And again, in just a second, we'll show you some of the video coming out from last night. It says moments earlier, U.S. Central Command forces shot down 3 one-way attack drones launched by Iran towards civilian mariners that were rightfully transiting regional waters. American forces also conducted self-defense strikes on an on an Iranian military ground control station on Qasem Island. Again, how the fuck that's possible to conduct defensive strikes over somebody else's airspace is again, somebody's gonna have to let me know how that works in the chat. No U.S. personnel were harmed. CENTCOM forces remain vigilant and ready to defend against unwarranted Iranian aggression, yada, yada, yada. And then it went on to further talk about this one here. They decided to put out their own fact check, I guess. It says the claims Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard claims they struck U.S.'s 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain and a U.S. air base in the region with missiles and drones today. CENTCOM says that is false. It says all Iranian attacks on American forces failed. U.S. forces remain vigilant and ready to defend against unwarranted aggression. In addition, an additional wave of Iranian drones attempting to attack U.S. forces in Kuwait failed to impact, quote, the intended targets tonight. Not failed to impact any targets, just the intended targets. U.S. Central Command Air Defense has successfully downed multiple drones and ensured no American personnel or assets were harmed. Now, after those 3 or 4 posts there by U.S. Central Command, does that in any way sound like a ceasefire? We talked about missiles, drones. We talked about U.S. Bases being targeted. We talked about, allied regions, Gulf nations in the region being targeted. Does that sound like a ceasefire? Regardless if they hit their intended targets or not, I'm going to say that's not the firing being ceased, right? I mean, and again, it's not like I have to reiterate for you guys the ridiculousness of all of the claims here and this goes back to Gaza. I mean, we were saying the same thing about Gaza. That fake, never was, non-existent ceasefire that, again, to this day continues to persist, right? People love to say that but no, there's no ceasefiring. The firing has definitely continued to happen. So let me see if we can go on here. I wanted to throw this. This is by the Clash Report. And this is just some of these statements, just a kind of an example of the statements coming from the Iranians here, right? Just to kind of dictate the situation that we're in and how it's broken down, right? From whatever situation we were in, it's collapsed even further. We've talked about the Iranians basically cutting off talks altogether because of what Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel are involved in and continue to escalate. In Lebanon, obviously people around the world having problems with not only Lebanon, but their actions in the West Bank. Obviously Gaza continued. But this is from senior Iranian official Mohsen Razaei, and he says, neither in negotiations nor in the ceasefire process will we allow America to overreach. The response to every shot and aggression will be a barrage of missiles and drones. History will not turn back, and the aggressor will swiftly be punished. I mean, again, does this sound like a nation on the verge of capitulation? Does this sound like a nation that seems like they're losing this or sees themselves to be losing this, neither negotiation war or the war in general? That's just not the sentiment that I've seen at any point in time from any of the, supposed spokespeople, military leaders, people within the government, IRGC, any of them. It's none of them. So again, there was also this that I wanted to dive into because here was just some of the evidence and footage coming in from last night's strikes, right? So we'll just kind of filter through this. This is from Drop Site 17 hours ago. IRGC launches missile strikes on U.S. bases in Kuwait. Explosions also reported in Bahrain and Iraq. Iran's IRGC has claimed responsibility for the missile strikes on U.S. military bases in Kuwait, saying the attacks were retaliation for an American strike on Qasem Island, a strategically located island in the Strait of Hormuz. Kuwait's defense ministry confirmed it is under attack from drones and missiles. Iran's state broadcaster, IRIB, said strikes hit both Camp Afrajan and Ali al-Salem Air Base in at least 2 waves, right? So again, contradicting what CENTCOM just said. So this is just going from one side to the other and just showing you the separation in between. And somehow we're left to kind of find out the reality that it obviously lies between what the Iranians are saying and, the reason they would have to, to kind of elevate some of their attacks or to, again, propagandize some of it to a certain extent, like That's pretty clear. They have a clear intent. They have a clear reason to do so. And obviously our government tries to do the same thing. So somewhere in the middle is the truth. Somewhere in the middle is reality. And we're kind of left here to pick up the fucking pieces. As you hear, no bases were attacked. And then you hear here that, strikes hit both Camp Afrajan and Ali Asalem Air Base in at least 2 different waves. 8 explosions reported in Bahrain, which is also under attack according to various monitoring accounts. Explosions were reported near the village of Masan on the southern coast of Qasem Island, Fars News reported. Iran also appears to be heavily striking Iranian Kurdish opposition groups near Erbil in northern Iraq. Earlier, CENTCOM said that U.S. forces fired a Hellfire missile into the engine room of a Botswana-flagged commercial tanker, the MT Lexi, after its crew ignored warnings while attempting to reach Karg Island. CENTCOM said it has now disabled 6 commercial vessels and redirected 122 since imposing a naval blockade on Iranian ports on April 13. The IRGC warned, quote, the time of a strike and run has passed, adding that any further aggression will be met with a seismic, decisive, and crushing response. Right. So, again, we're just kind of filtering through. And here's the video going up. I believe these Patriot missiles going up to intercept the incoming Iranian missiles. And I believe this is, did they say over Bahrain? If I'm not mistaken, missiles over, no, this is Kuwait. My apologies. So this is video coming in from Kuwait. And you can see there, pretty bright moon. I think, what was his face? I can't even think of his name now that I was thinking of it, but they were calling it a bomber's moon, right? Kind of, what they utilize as far as being able to see where they're going. But, pretty clear indication there of I believe the Patriot missile interceptors going up to go up and get the incoming Iranian missiles. See the 2 puffs of smoke there from the missiles that were intercepted. Now hear the bang, just getting to the camera. So that was that one, like I said, coming over from Kuwait. This is Clash Report, says that Western officials says the risk of Iran secretly pursuing nuclear weapons is now higher than before the U.S. and Israel launched military strikes in June 2025. Midas Touch reporting the same thing. How ridiculous is that, right? I thought we obliterated their nuclear capabilities, right? Operation Midnight Hammer. I thought that was the complete obliteration. They were never going to have the capabilities to come up with the nuclear weapon. They were going to it would take generations to even try to attempt to dig it out, right? So as you can see here, it says a year after the U.S. and Israel launched strikes on Iran, Western officials are now warning of the risk of Iran secretly pursuing a nuclear weapon, maybe actually higher at this point than before we undertook this war. Like, what in the fuck? Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? It says, according to new IAEA report, inspectors can no longer verify the status of hundreds of kilograms of near bomb-grade uranium that was previously under regular monitoring. The agency says it can't draw any conclusion about the material's current whereabouts, raising fresh proliferation concerns. Good job, Donald. Great job. Looking fucking great. And here's coming in from some of, I would think probably one of the more prominent strikes that's gone out on social media here. This is footage of what is left of Kuwait International Airport after Iran strikes, right? And then again, going against what CENTCOM was saying, or, you know what I mean? If they're just specifically talking about anybody in the U.S. and they don't typically give a shit about our allies or what was struck, that's what I'm getting from the CENTCOM statements, right? That's what I'm getting. So don't worry. No United States personnel was harmed. No, they didn't, if they were able to, or they were trying to strike or target any of the U.S. personnel or bases, they weren't able to, and again, take that with a grain of salt, considering it's coming from CENTCOM, who has been shown to have been wrong or lied outright before in this for the purposes of propaganda for the benefit of Donald Trump. But again, here's footage coming in from Kuwait International Airport, and it seems like CENTCOM couldn't give a shit less and doesn't really care about the effectiveness on strikes about on anyone else other than either our ships, our people, or our bases. So here you go. There's a clip coming up from Kuwait International Airport.
هذا الحريق، هذه مسيرة طاحت هني فوق أمل الكويت. هذا
So what appears to be the just utter devastation of at least that section of the Kuwait airport. Obviously, you can see the pictures above me detailing even more destruction. I'll hop out of the way here so you can see the ones that I'm kind of covering up. I'm assuming detailing where the missile came through the roof. And then from just kind of a further back position there, detailing, I would assume, take this with a grain of salt, but where it entered into that space coming through the roof, or just the resulting damage from the explosion there. But apparently nothing was hit. No targets were hit. Everything was intercepted. Nothing to see here, guys. Absolutely nothing to see. This is how should Iran's latest attacks on U.S. and Kuwait infrastructure. This was 3 hours ago. Let's see here if we can see any of these here. Give me sound. Where's the sound? No sound. You can see the rockets going up in the back. Tough to kind of see if those are the interceptors going up or if that was the missiles coming in there. But clearly some footage coming in there. Let me see if there was any more that we could go into. Get out of this one. Let's see here. This was obviously the airport that we were talking about. At least 63 people were injured as a result of Iranian strikes on Kuwait. The country's airport was also damaged. We just watched that one real quick. Here's another one, I want to say. That was the first one that we took a look at. Here's one more. See if I can throw this one up there real quick. I don't know if there's any sound on this, but clearly see what looks to be the interceptors going up. It looks like one of the interceptors there malfunctioned. You see that? See that it didn't. Let's see. I'll play that one again. See if I can play that one again. See that first one looks like it malfunctions. That second one continued to travel. First one looks like it exploded over the town. See that right there? Clearly not going to be good for anybody that's under the raining down of material from that as well. Let's see. This says oil climbed overnight as the latest U.S.-Iran clash rattled the Gulf again. Crude rose more than 1% early Wednesday, trading after U.S. strikes on Iran's Qasem Island. Let's see if we can see any more. This is after an attack by U.S. forces on an Iranian ship. Iran struck several U.S. bases in West Asia, Middle East, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Saudi. Additionally, Iran also fired at an American vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. The ceasefire stands on again, you just reported on several strikes on several different nations. So to end this fucking post with the ceasefire stands on fragile ground is just fucking diabolical to me. It's just wild. Like, what ceasefire? What are we talking about? You're reporting on these explosions. Typically, explosions don't happen during a ceasefire. But here's just more evidence. Here's another video coming in. It looks to be the remnants, possibly, of a downed missile. Tough to tell as far as that one is concerned, but definitely something burning on the ground. What's this one? Ooh, this could be the alternate angle here. Is there any captions to this one? Because this looks like it could be the alternate angle to that Patriot, if it was a Patriot, that malfunctioned or looked to malfunction. This might be that opposite angle because this looks just like the the video that we just watched. So check this one out. Jeez.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله
One more time.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
Definitely looks like a similar a video than the one that we just watched. Here's another one. You can hear the drone. You can see the drone. There's a strike. Well, it certainly doesn't get shot down within that clip. I could tell you that much. As we continue, U.S. and Iran exchange strikes overnight. Here's what actually happened. Iran hit back on 3 fronts. Container ship MSC Panaya disabled U.S. airbase in Kuwait, targeted U.S. Navy 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain, struck. The response would be different and harsher. These should serve as a lesson. CENTCOM says Iranian missiles missed. Social media footage from Kuwait shows active air defense. So again, here's that active air defense that we were showing earlier there. But again, how much do we need to show in order to prove that this ceasefire is just an asinine thing to continue to say? Here's from the voice of Tehran. It says, Iran hits a U.S.-Israeli vessel. U.S. then strikes a communications tower. Iran responds with missile and drone attacks on regional U.S. air base and the U.S. Fifth Fleet. Harsher response as promised. What's this one? Did you see this? Tough to tell when that's from. That's just the typical propaganda footage being put out there by any and all sides that can. That's the airport again. But yeah, the cease. I mean, to call this and continue calling this a ceasefire is just you're a moron. You know what I mean? You'd have to be either brain dead. You'd have to be just willing or part of the part of the inner circle where it's it's on your agenda and it's to your benefit to continue this charade. But obviously. This is continuing night after night. We've talked about this several times now, and not pairing this up with the Iranians basically calling off the negotiations because of what Israel is engaged in. It doesn't look like this is ending anytime soon. Doesn't look like we're getting out of this anytime soon. Certainly doesn't look like we're coming to an agreement anytime soon. And I almost give the Iranians credit for. They're almost striking within the bounds of what the United States is doing, right? So it's not like and I'm sure they have the potential to lob 50, 70, 100 missiles into a specific area. But again, that's not what they're doing. They're kind of hitting in, I don't know what you'd call it, parallel, right? Just kind of, this is what you're doing. Okay, this is what we're going to do. You hit us tit for tat. We're going to hit you tit for tat. You think you can do this? Well, watch us do this type of thing. You know what I mean? But that has a way of slowly climbing up the ladder of escalation as well. But how does that go with the United States stockpiles? Is that what they are? How does that go with the interceptor stockpiles for these Gulf nations? At the levels that they are, can they even engage in another full-scale war like we saw, another hot war like we saw at the beginning of this? Or is the pause really because of the lack of ammunition in the amount of ordinances that we expended during that first section of this campaign, section of this war, and it didn't look like we could carry that out much longer and clearly be able to maintain our dominance or power in other aspects and other theaters on the globe? You know what I mean? So it makes you wonder what the pause is actually because, let me throw this next one on here. But to continue calling it a ceasefire is just, it's again, you find the words in the comments. Let me know what word you come up with for the people that actually still consistently call this a ceasefire, or the people that, even worse, believe that it's still a ceasefire. But all right, let's go on here. This is Attorney General Todd Blanche basically sitting in front of Congress and saying that the slush fund, the anti-weaponization fund, as they would call it, the $1.8 billion, money grab for the criminals associated with January 6th and Donald Trump's fake elector scheme and all of his, corrupt partners and allies for them to enrich themselves. Apparently now Todd Blanche is saying that's been scrapped, much like the P-47, right? P-47, what's that? It's been scrapped. If you can tell me what movie that's from, I will love you even more. But again, this is posted by Grace Meng, and she is asking Todd Blanche about this fund. And Todd Blanche is saying that it's not going to happen. It's definitely not going to happen. And she asked if he could put it in writing, basically guaranteeing so that there's something that we could look back on above and beyond this video, above and beyond the transcripts from this little session here for the American people and for everybody else writ large to look at and say, well, they signed it, they put it in writing, so this is it right here. If they break that, we have a clear, we have clear evidence and a clear route to prosecute or to hold them accountable in some way, shape, or form. But Todd Blanche, for some reason, doesn't want to agree to put it in writing. He thinks it's sufficient enough for him to sit there and just, rhetorically announce that this fund is not going to happen. And again, Grace is kind of skeptical that they are not going to just find some other routes for this, if they're just not going to find some other methods, another path to make this possible. And again, just, kind of ditching this option based off of the, the backlash that they've seen, how pissed off the American people are about this. Obviously the coverage that it's gotten in foreign press as well. I mean, this is, it's something that a lot of people are talking about. It's blatant corruption. So absolutely they would be talking about this, but this is, again, just Todd Blanche sitting here saying that it's not going to happen anymore, promising the American people, promising Congress that it's not going to take place, but not agreeing to put it in writing. So just play this clip here.
Mr. Attorney General, I wanted to ask a few questions about the anti-weaponization fund. We know that the department has agreed to pause this effort until at least June 12th. I wanted to ask what your plans were for the fund after June 12th.
So thank you. So look, we're not moving forward with the fund. You're right that there's a date that in the case in the Eastern District of Virginia in June, but we are not moving forward with the fund, period. The reasons for the fund is something that President Trump talked about for a long time, which is the fact that there were a lot of people in this country who had their government weaponized against them. The reasons for the fund, I think, it remain as important as they were before, but
which is again why it's necessary, I think, and probably a good move to have these, to have these congressmen and women demand this be put in writing, because again, he's sitting here defending it. He thinks it's such a, a noble cause, and it's just and it's rightful. Then what's stopping you from again trying to figure out some sort of route for this to take place, right? Some other method for this to happen where Congress may have less power to interject, right? Or it may not be even publicly known to the American people if they could have it their way. So it's probably a great move that it's been asked here to have him put it in writing, but you can hear him basically say, why would I do that? That's not necessary.
Not moving forward with the fund.
Oh, not moving forward ever.
Correct.
Oh, there's no more fund then.
Well, to the extent there was a fund, and remember the fund wasn't set up yet. There were no commissioners named. There was no claimants brought anything in front of. There was no claims made yet. So yes, we're not moving forward with the fund.
You and Associate Attorney General Woodward signed earlier documents regarding the settlement and this fund. Would both of you now sign and release documents reversing the DOJ's position on the fund?
We're not moving forward with the fund. I'm not sure what that means to sign documents reversing. There's nothing to reverse. We're not moving forward.
And this is where he plays dumb, right? This is where he acts coy and he's like, well, I'm not sure really what you mean by kind of reversing something that never was implemented in the first place. Definitely understanding what she's asking here. Definitely recognizing that, to put it in writing, for him to make a statement from the DOJ and sign it himself, again, would reaffirm what he's saying here to a certain degree and be able to be looked back on by Congress, by the American people, if in fact they do decide to take another route at this, another crack at this. So again, he's playing stupid here. But why he would be unwilling to again put something out with the letterhead of the DOJ stating exactly what he said here is a little fishy, right? Is kind of raising some red flags, let's just say.
The fund.
We know about,
again, just to reiterate, they're talking about doing away with the fund, but keeping the amendments there that Donald Trump and his family and his corporations will not be liable. They'll basically be immune from tax investigations and prosecutions based on their taxes. That will go forward, which we have a clip of coming up here. But she goes on here to just ask again about the writing, and he goes on to deny it.
The court case, the decision, when we've heard press reports, obviously. But is there any way that you could put this in writing? I don't know if there are other ways that you could use another vehicle to move forward with a similar fund or similar intention. And
she announces her skepticism, right? I don't trust you, sir, is basically what she just said. Like, I need this in as many forms of writing with as many signatures that I could possibly have. If you could make a TikTok video, if you could stand in front of a few cameras and say this again in private, that would be fantastic too. But the more times that you put this on record, the better off we're going to be, because I distrust the shit out of you, considering that you're, again, the president's fucking personal goddamn attorney and acting head of the DOJ at the same fucking time. Don't tell me that he's not, right? That, throws up some red flags. That's cause for concern, let's just say. Not only that, but with everything else that he's been a part of, all the bullshit he's tried to get through, all of the nonsense rhetoric he's espoused, all of those things, again, lead to the distrust that she's now showing here, which is like, put it in writing, because I don't know what other vehicle you're going to try to use to get this through, right? You're a fucking scumbag fraudster that works for a scumbag fraudster. So yeah, I know she didn't say as much. I'm ad-libbing a bit, but she wanted to.
Reassure the American public. We've heard from both Republicans and Democrats, constituents and Americans across the country about this fund. And I think they would love to be reassured that this fund will not progress.
I'm telling you it's not.
It's not enough. Not enough, brother. Sorry, not enough. I mean, you work for the most corrupt administration in the history of this country. That's told more lies than any other administration in the history of this country. That's been responsible for more death and destruction, I would say, than most, if not all, administrations in the history of this country. So excuse us if we don't just believe the shit coming out of your mouth, okay? There's been a lot of people sitting in that exact fucking seat in that same administration that have lied to the faces of the people in Congress and then went on to do exactly what they said they weren't going to do. So fucking excuse us there, Chief.
Sure, I'm not trying to be flippant with you. I'm just saying.
No, you are. But again, that's about all we need to catch from that one as well. But there was one other one here. Yeah. Was this? Oh, this was Rubio, though. This was Rubio. Was there another one? I thought there was another one here from... Let me see here. Was there another one? Yeah, here it is right here. Here's one Tennessee Holler posted. I knew there was this one as well because now he's getting questioned on the tax portion, the amendment for Trump, his family, and his corporations that isn't going away. Right, that is going to happen. That is, well, if it's up to Todd Blanche, something that's absolutely going to take place. But here he's being kind of reprimanded by I'm blanking on this woman's name. It's D something, I know, but my apologies. But it says here, friends, listen to what's being said here. This is extraordinary. You just gave the president and his family immunity. And then Todd Blanche tries to push back. Let me know in the chat. I apologize. I hate forgetting people's names, but here we go. Let's see if we can check into this one. I'll play it from the beginning. Let's see. No, from the beginning, I said, Brad. That's not the beginning. That is, though.
Is the first document identified, which is the anti-weaponization fund. There's still a settlement agreement, and there's still the second document I signed is not an addendum. It's a separate attorney general order.
Okay. Okay. But you're not going to rescind the addendum, the second order?
No,
The only thing you're talking about here, so the blanket immunity is not something that you're going to move back on?
it's not blanket immunity. That's not true.
It is.
No, it's not.
Read it. Okay. United States releases, waives, acquits, and forever discharges each of the plaintiffs from and is hereby forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing any and all claims, counterclaims, causes of actions, appeals, requests for any reliefs. I mean, this is an order from you, but you're not prepared. You are prepared to say that the president and his family will be barred, are immune from. That's a yes.
No, it was not a yes. I had not answered the question. I can't answer if you want me to.
What are you doing with this?
Okay, so there was a settlement, which is one of the documents you
Yes.
showed. Okay,
Right.
part of the settlement included the second order that you just held up.
Right.
And that is still, nothing has changed with that. What I said today, what I've said a couple times today.
Yeah, nothing has changed. Exactly. It's still basically the president of the United States getting immunity, his family getting immunity, his corporations getting immunity by the government that he's presided over, by the DOJ, again, run by his own personal attorney that gets him out of any tax, fraud, any tax investigations, basically giving him immunity for any of the crimes that he's committed, any of the crimes his family's committed, any of the crimes that his corporations have committed. That's exactly what's taking place here. And to give that into return for the president suing his own fucking government is the most blatant act of corruption, the most blatant act of self-dealing, and the family of the fucking, the first family benefiting, profiting from, and getting off on, the power, the proximity of power that they have right now and wielding that over this fucking country. So she rightfully goes on to talk about how ludicrous and asinine this entire thing was. So, good for her. Here's the one where Marco Rubio, this one where this was pretty funny because I don't know if you know the story about the shoes that Donald Trump apparently gave Marco Rubio, and they were like fucking 3 sizes too big. But Marco Rubio, having lost his nutsack, having absolutely no guts or balls whatsoever, didn't dare say to the dear Fuhrer that the shoes were too big, and pretty much has to wear them anywhere. I don't know if he stuffs them with socks. I don't know what he's doing, but this was a pretty funny exchange here, at least in one moment where she goes after his shoes. But she asked him, again, a pretty simple question that puts these guys on the hot seat right the fuck away, right? This is a very basic, easy to answer question for anybody that isn't in a cult, right? Let's just say. So when asked who won the 2020 election, especially if you're now working inside of our government, if you're part of the current administration, shouldn't be fucking difficult for you to answer. So this is a clear indication, and has been for quite some time now, of people getting in the hot seat, getting in front of Congress, and being unwilling to answer this question because of the retributions, the backlash, and the likely fucking reaming they're going to get from Donald Trump if they in fact say that Joe Biden rightly won the 2020 election. So this is one of those moments where Marco Rubio is being questioned here by Rep. Jacobs.
So I have one last question for you. Mr. Secretary, who won the 2020 presidential election?
I'm not here to answer a question. We're talking about 2020. This is a foreign affairs committee.
Okay, great. You
Define
can't answer the
political
question,
No,
even though we all know that
I don't
President
answer the
Biden won.
question because the Secretary of State, I do not participate in domestic
This is not
political
about
issues.
We're supposed to believe that the Secretary of State, the current Secretary of State, is not allowed to tell us who won the 2020 election. That's what he wants us to believe. Please show me the rule in which that states the Secretary of State is not allowed to acknowledge reality. You know what I mean? You can't acknowledge reality as Secretary of State. You have to live in fantasy land, apparently, according to Marco Rubio here.
Political issues.
certainly
This is
is.
about our democracy.
You're asking me to opine, just like I don't do campaign
It
rallies.
seems like
I don't
you,
do because as
it's-
Secretary of State, we're not supposed to. That's been the long tradition of the department. And you should know that if you've been on this committee for any period of time.
Mr.
you're-
Secretary, it seems like you have an
Questions.
issue admitting facts. You can't say that the president lost the 2020 election, just like you won't admit President Trump is losing this reckless war of choice, and just like you couldn't admit that the shoes the president bought you were too big. You clearly don't know what winning means, and not because the facts are unclear to you, it's because telling the truth would cost you your job, and the American people are entitled to a Secretary of State who tells them the truth even when the president doesn't want to hear it, and my constituents, our service members, deserve better. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
And I love it. I love it. I know the shoes thing was kind of thrown in there to belittle, right, Marco Rubio, and I have absolutely no problems with that. And again, he pushes back and calls it some sort of clown show here because of that question. And no, I don't know what you're talking about as far as the shoe thing is concerned. He did give me very nice shoes, but they fit perfectly. Oh yeah, did they fit perfectly? What the fuck is this then? What the fuck is this then? Doesn't look like they fit perfectly. Look like you could fit a fucking 2-story condominium behind the heel in between that and where the shoe actually ends there. You know what I mean? Looks like you'd have to stuff in about 14 and a half socks in order to make those things fit. Marco Rubio is probably wearing about 10 socks already, but he just stuffed a couple either in the toe or in the back somehow to make those shoes actually stay on and not flop around like flip-flops as he's going on these really important meetings. Right, but this is Rubio would rather defend wearing literal clown shoes at the behest of the dear leader than state the obvious that Trump got demolished in the 2020 election. I don't know what he's talking about. What big shoes? What shoes that don't fit that I wear every time because Donald Trump would be pissed if I didn't wear them. What an absolute fucking twat. All right. Running out of time quickly here. So let's just kind of fly through a couple of these clips and then we'll get into the updates and some of the footage coming from the strikes in St. Petersburg by Ukraine. But let's just go through a couple of these because Donald Trump looking very bad. And again, I don't know when this was taped. We've talked about Sasquatch's fucking absence from the camera, for the last, 6-7 days at this point. I'm not sure what the calculation is, but, after his trip to Walter Reed, after his, multiple visits and to his yearly checkup, how many times you have to do a yearly checkup, I'm not sure before it's not a yearly checkup. What are you going to do? But a lot of people speculated, a lot of people asking what's going on. As this kind of appearance here, this interview with Miranda Devine came out, people are recognizing that his hands are looking very swollen, right? They were looking bruised before. It looked like, was it the left hand? No, it was the right hand that was bruised first because they used the handshake excuse. And then it was the left hand that started developing the bruising. And now it's like the hands have gone from bruising to swelling. So again, I'm not sure what, health concerns brings that on. But looks like people are starting to notice and recognize. This is Aaron Rupart says, look how swollen and disgusted Trump's right hand looks during his new podcast appearance. And, I'll stipulate it's kind of difficult to see in this one, but there is I think a still photo that somebody got that does kind of more clearly detail kind of how like swollen and big Trump's hands look. I'll get out of the way just in case I block it. But here's this short clip where they're talking.
Teddy Roosevelt's portrait is above your head.
Right.
Tell me, is he one of your favorite presidents, and why?
I mean, you can kind of see it there, but it definitely looks fucking swollen around his knuckles, right? Sorry that line's in the way. I don't know if I can I get that line out of there?
Well, he was a good one.
No, that'll probably stay there. My apologies. But you can definitely see around his knuckles, his right hand looking pretty freaking swollen. You know, I don't know if he bashed it. I don't know if it's an unrelated thing to his bruises or anything else, but it definitely looked like that. And like I said, there's a kind of a still shot that gives you a better indication, a clearer picture of that as well. But there's a lot of ridiculous moments in this as well. He talks about Iran is a big success. Wait until you see. The economy is unbelievable. Like how much do you have to live in an alternate universe to continuously say this, right? Like how much bullshit can one man espouse it's apparently endless as far as Donald Trump is concerned. But to try to actually get people to believe that this is somehow a raging success and has been fantastic for the economy is like you are in fucking la la land, dude.
Well, one thing is working out well. You know, Venezuela was a big success. Iran's a big success.
Yeah.
What do you see?
Iran, big success. What benefit have you guys seen in your daily life that we can attribute to the actions in Venezuela, that we can attribute to those the fishing boats that were continuously struck and all the people that died as a result of those strikes? Like, what benefit have you seen now that Maduro's in a New York City jail? Like, does that help you guys? I'm sure that helps you guys, right? Or is it just basically the oil conglomerates and the CEOs that are, you know, sucking the shit out of Donald Trump's asshole daily, that are profiting from the, you know, the rise in oil or whatever barrel, how many ever millions of barrels of oil they're stealing from the Venezuelans? Because it sure as fuck ain't me and you that are profiting. It sure as fuck ain't me and you that are benefiting from that, as we continue to sit here and watch the cost of every single thing that we utilize go up basically on a daily basis.
Very big success story. We've essentially defeated the military. We'll see what happens. We're working on a deal, and if that happens, fine. If it doesn't happen, that's okay too. We'll do it the other way. But
it's not okay. It is not okay if this thing doesn't end. It is not okay if we don't get a deal. It's also not okay if we sign a deal and it makes Iran much more powerful. You know, having the rest of the world needing to respect their ability not only to control the strait if anybody acts up, but also their ability to withstand not only the United States in joint military actions with Israel, but also a pretty concerted effort by the United States to set in a blockade through the Strait of Hormuz. Like we've seen time and time again, whether it's journalistic reporting or the U.S. intelligence assessments that say, look, it seems like they have a pretty decent ability to withstand this for a lot longer period of time than we originally anticipated, right? Which is not a good sign and not a good signal. Pairing that up with the missile and drone capabilities that they clearly still have left. Like, I mean, we've gone through so much bullshit in this and we almost forget that Donald Trump says he's eradicated all their missiles and drones. So what the fuck are they shooting? What are they shooting? Spitballs at fucking Kuwait airport? What was that? I'm curious. What'd they shoot at the airport to destroy that fucking airport or that part of the airport? Because it certainly looked to me like either a missile or a drone, much like we're flying around on camera and being shot down by Patriot interceptors and ones that got through. Right? Because that's what it looks like to me. But it's just, we've gone through so much bullshit in this and so many lies and different changes and stances and goals and all that. It's almost like you gotta sit down and write them all down to be able to remember all of them. You know what I mean? And this is where Donald Trump says he inherited high prices, which is an absolute fallacy as well.
And whether we like it or not, that is a big indicator of where we got people, 401ks are all high. They're all setting records.
What about people who don't have 401ks and they're worried about gas or groceries? We hear about that
I
a lot.
inherited very high prices when I came in. I inherited the highest inflation in the history of our country. You know, Biden had...
Fact check, anybody? How about we fact check? Did Donald Trump inherit the highest level inflation that this country has ever seen? Because he just made that clear, very concise statement right there, right? There was no ifs, ands, or buts about that. This is the president of the United States telling the world that he inherited, when he came in, the highest inflation that the United States has ever seen. What do you say we do this? Let me throw this on there, make sure I'm not muted. Okay, so when Humpty Dumpty, this fucking decrepit orange bastard, took office for his second term, right? In January 2025, the exact annual inflation rate was 3%. The figure was measured by the 12-month change in the headline consumer price index. Let me see here. Let me see. This also goes on to state. Let me see. What was I? Hold on. Let me go back. How do I get back out of this? Get me out of this one. Oh, here it is right here. Let me go to this one. And this says U.S. inflation rate by president, right? We'll just go by president. We'll scroll down here. Make sure I'm not muted. I'm not muted. We'll just continue to scroll down here. Why don't I move this over here so I can see you guys both at the same time? How about that? All right, so now I can see you both at the same time. So we'll just scroll down to old Joseph Robinette Biden down here. Okay, and let's just read this. So average year-over-year inflation rate, 4.9% for Joe Biden. Again, the average year-over-year inflation rate under Joe Biden was 4.9%. Biden signed the American Rescue Plan Act in 2021, a $1.9 trillion stimulus package, helped the country recover from COVID-19. In the wake of COVID-19 pandemic recovery and the soaring gas prices after the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022, inflation rose to record levels not seen since the 1980s. Inflation peaked at 9.1% year over year in June 2022, the highest increase in 40 years. The Fed responded by raising interest rates 11 times in an attempt to cool down the stubborn inflation. While inflation did not come down from its peak in 2022, peak in 2023, it remained above Fed's 2% target. Did come down. It did also remain above the 2% target. In September 2024, the Fed made its first rate cut in 4 years. Biden's economic policies are now referred to as Bidenomics. And this goes on to say that which president had the highest inflation rate? President Jimmy Carter had the highest inflation rate so far, with year-over-year inflation rate of 9.85% from 1977 to 1971. What's the highest inflation has ever been? In the United States, inflation is commonly measured by the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. Since the CPI was introduced as an economic indicator, the highest rate year-to-year inflation in the U.S. was 17.8% in 1917. Was Donald Trump elected in 1917? He looks old enough to have been elected in 1917. But again, as far as the statement that he inherited these ridiculously high prices and he, inherited the highest inflation that this country has ever seen, it's provably false, right? Provably, objectively false, ridiculous. No pushback here by Miranda. Obviously, nobody's going to call him out on the nonsense. He continues to say this and the 2020 election nonsense. It's just, it never ceases to amaze me the amount that he's allowed to get away with this. But she asked him a bunch more questions here. But let me see if I could just show you this. We'll probably have to hold off on the. Let's see. I probably have to hold off on the last couple videos that I wanted to do. One, or at least just the battle plans exposed, because I've run out of time, my gents. I've run out of time. But we can cover this because this is from Kate from Kharkiv, and she says, "Morning in St. Petersburg." And it looks like there may have been a little action. I'm just going to say that plume of smoke in the background is telling me something just maybe off a little bit. Browser has lost connection to your screen share audio. God damn it, for crying out loud. All right, let me put myself big. Couldn't happen at a worse time. I'll put it back on. Screen share again. Kate from Kharkiv, how you doing? Back on the screen, and we're back at it like a crack addict. Here we go. All right, so morning in St. Pete, she says, and this is a picture, but it goes on. This is more fire spreading at the St. Petersburg oil terminal, by the way. St. Petersburg Economic Forum starts today, which is, again, another reason why the Ukrainians, I'm suspecting, would do this. Obviously, it was going to get the attention of the people there. Obviously, it was going to get the attention of the world media as well. But again, here is just some more footage coming in from that. Here is St. Petersburg oil port is on fire. Just a really quick video showing you the fireball in the flame in the background. Сука, блядь. So obviously clear indication of a strike there. NATO Secretary General Rutte arrives in Kyiv. This also says, okay, she says, okay, I'll stop posting about St. Petersburg soon, but I promise you, not yet. Here's just another angle, I believe, of that strike there by the Ukrainians. Sounds like another drone overhead. Hear that buzzing in the background? Sounds like wasn't the only drone in the area. So again, that's coming from St. Petersburg as well. And I think there was more from this. Let me see if I could. Yeah, there was this I wanted to show you before I get you guys out of here. This was, again, one Russian trying to shoot down the incoming drones. You know what I mean? Like, this is just the the lack of air defenses in this area and how like lackadaisical these Russian soldiers are. One guy's firing. There's two soldiers there. One guy's firing. The other guy's just like, I don't have a weapon, so I guess I'll just sit here and watch type of thing. But check this out. This is where he's literally, it says, amused residents film Russian service members trying and failing to shoot down a Ukrainian one-way attack drone with automatic rifles during this morning's large-scale attack against the northwestern Russian city of St. Petersburg. So here's that footage here. I'll go back. I'll play this one again. Ready? And here the drone. Here's the drone. And here's fucking Ivan trying to take it down with his rifle. This is looks to be the extent of the Russian air defenses in this area. It's just fucking Ivan sitting there with his rifle, like, I shoot down them all. Not fucking one drone come through here, some bitch. I shoot that motherfucker down right now with my rifle. Although I miss every shot, unfortunately, and it makes strike. So, my apology. So there's that one. Here's another angle. You just got the Russian citizens in the background, just like filming away with the, like, this guy's an idiot. Like, absolutely no chance. Look at the success he's had, obviously. Don't worry about smoke in background. This is from nothing. These drones don't get through my rifle fire, I promise. Although there is several strikes you can see right beyond me. But, I try my best. Look at, doesn't even look like he was shooting at that one. There was one going over his head, and he's shooting at the other one. Watch this. No, that's the other one. Shit. This one. Play. He's shooting at the wrong one. Then again, there, just the evidence of the successful strike there by the Ukrainians. And sorry, unfortunately, run out of time today on the early show. I'm going to throw it over to my main man, Jeff Waldorf, over there on this space. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to simulcast over there. Thank you for the opportunity to join up in coalition with you guys. I really do appreciate the mods for everything that you guys do over there, and obviously Matt for putting this all together. So my apologies for running over a minute, but I'll send it over to Jeff. Thank you to everybody over there. Much appreciated. And for everybody over here at Blunt Politics, make sure you stick around. All right. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you. Let's make sure we thank everybody over here on Blunt Politics. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Very much appreciate you as always. Make sure you're around tonight for our conversation with Tom Hendrickson, again, state rep, running for state rep candidate here in Western Massachusetts. So we're going to be doing that, I believe, the first half of the show. And then second half, we'll be getting into, obviously, the, Ivanka's Island, anything that we missed out on the show today. I think, like I said, there was a Battle Plans Exposed video that I wanted to get into that I just unfortunately ran out of time. But that's okay. We can get into that tonight. This is just kind of detailing Ukraine's jet-powered drone striking 800 kilometers deep inside of Russia. So again, that's what we'll take a look at tonight. There's a couple other ones here tracking Russia's $275 billion financial disaster. So we can, I'm sure, find some good content to watch in any news that comes out in the meantime. But thank you guys so much for everything that you've been doing. Let me see if there's anybody nice enough to send over a Venmo today. Typically there is. Yeah, Dame, what's going on, brother? Very much appreciate you. Thank you so much for the $10. Wicked Wednesday. Let's go. Sounds like you've been in Boston too long. Thank you so much. Thank you to Bry Guy as well. Thank you, BH. Much appreciated, my friend. Finally got my Slava Ukraine hat. Thanks, Brian. Absolutely. Much appreciated. Sorry if it took long. I don't know if that's what I was gotten. If that's what I'm getting as far as that comment is concerned, but I'm glad you received it. Let me know how it goes. Let me know how it fits. Let me know how you look there, Chief. And then obviously, thank you so much for the last couple of days, moms. Thank you to Yakov. Thank you to Nancy, Peter, Jim, Belinda. Thank you so much, guys, for keeping this show rolling, keeping it going as we're trying to get to 25,000 subscribers by the time midterms rolls around. And again, just the opportunity to get past 20,000, to get to a spot where, again, we could use this platform for so much good, or enough good where, again, other organizations recognize the ability and the community that we've built here in order for us to be able to partner up for things like this, right? So 4,265 euro raised, 20% of the goal. Let's give it an old refresh just in case. You never know. You never know. Sometimes a whale can come in there and throw it in and change the whole thing. But we are at 30. We are at 39 donations, 4,273 euro, and I do appreciate each and every single red cent of that. So much appreciated. And again, like I continue to say, the size of the community and the community that we built here is the driving force in getting recognized and being able to get opportunities like this. So I really do appreciate you for getting us to this point. But let's thank some people over here on YouTube. Thank you to Nola. Together we fight. Amen, Nola. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for the 5. Thank you, Jeff, as well. It's called a measured response. Hi, y'all. Right? I mean, I think you're referring to what I stated as far as the response by or retaliation by the Iranians, in the face of what the United States is doing as well. I could be wrong. Let me know. But either way, I do appreciate the 5, Jeff. I do appreciate you always watching, my friend. Oh, Nola. Holy sugar pie. What the good guy. God damn. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. $50 to Ukraine fund. I shall put that in on your behalf. How about that? I'll put it in on your behalf. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that kind contribution. Thank you, No Money G. A little tip to the swear jar. Great show, Brian. Thank you, No Money G. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a great day as well. And then thank you, Free Vent, for the £2, as always. Hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are sticking in there. Like I said, hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. Keep yourselves as fresh mentally as humanly possible. I know that's very difficult nowadays, if not damn near impossible. But as I always say, go out there, walk the dog, read a book, go see a movie, hit the links, whatever it does, whatever floats your boat. A boat, go boating. You could do that as well. But just clear your mind. Make sure that you're not just kind of stressing yourself out to a point of no return. But thank you so much to the mods. Thank you so much to the chat. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, 5:30 here on the West Coast, and then somewhere in between wherever you live. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel on the way out. And again, don't miss our conversation with Tom Hendrickson tonight. Anything else that I missed? I don't know. I don't think so. Head over to patreon.com/BostonBrian. You can sign up for a YouTube membership just underneath me. Some here is a button. It's like kind of in this maybe general vicinity right there, maybe. Wait, no, I think it's right. It's in there somewhere. If you hit that button, it'll allow you to become a member of the channel for less than a gallon of gas. That gets you a month memberships. You can donate memberships to other kind members of the chat. All of those ways go to help. You can sign up at did I already say Patreon? Yeah, you can do that too. Sign up at Patreon. Check out the merch site. Go to bostonbrian.com. All the good things. All the things that I'm supposed to say, but I'm shit at saying. Do those things. How about that? All right, I'm out of here. I appreciate it. What's up, Michael? What's going on, brother? Appreciate you. Hi, Debbie. What's going on, Alan? Married to a maggot. How are you? What's going on, Alyosha? Thank you for everything that you do over there on Twitch, my friend. What's going on, Orb Bruma? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Tiff, for everything that you do, getting those links out there. Thank you, Dame Dog. And a big salute to you guys. I'll see you guys tonight. Take care of yourself. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive, but keep your head on the swivel out there. Make sure you're staying safe, okay? Peace.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
God bless the United States. To officially name the undisputed, just, when did this come out? Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real? Nothing bad can happen, it can only good happen. We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come. Obama. Obama.
You got a little chubby going there.
Obama. Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Obama. Call them dumps. Big, massive dumps. What in the hell was that all about?
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.